Good morning. It's day 19 here in Melbourne, Australia, on my hunger strike. I want to take up where I left off in my last video, where I mentioned something about revolution. I want to make it very clear, I personally am a pacifist, a very committed pacifist, and it dovetails in with why I'm hunger striking. You know, Gandhi's the most famous hunger striker, I guess, of all time. And he managed to somehow get the British out of India. Hunger striking was a part of it, but we need to bear in mind that he was hunger striking to get his supporters to stay away from violence. I don't think a hunger strike would have gotten the British out of India. So there's kind of two messages here. One is the message to the leaders of the world, the leaders of our nations, and the leaders of my state. And that is that this situation is a crisis. It's an emergency, and they need to take it more seriously. But there's another thing in that I'm hunger striking in the hope that it will inspire others on my side of the fence to consider doing a hunger strike if they just feel, you know, they have to somehow express their rage in some way. I would personally rather see 100 of us die from hunger striking, and I don't think that's going to happen. But I would rather see that than millions of people dying in a global war. And we need to understand just how serious this threat of world revolution is. You know, whole countries have gone to war just over the price of bread going up. My own native country of the U.S. fought a war because the tax was too high on tea. It's, you know, little things like that can cause serious consequences. Now, how much more is that going to happen if the masses of the world understand that we're facing global extinction while our parliamentarians and representatives all over the world are just fiddling, just twiddling their fingers, playing politics and point scoring against one another and seeing how little they can get by with doing. I kind of see it like this. You know, you've got this house on fire. The only way you can fight it is passing buckets of water. And yet today, we've got people in the bucket line arguing with one another, pointing fingers at one another, talking about who's doing more and who's doing less. Well, the house burns down. Now, if it's really an emergency, you stop doing that. You just get busy passing buckets. And that's what needs to happen. Unfortunately, here in Australia, I probably need to explain that for the rest of the world. While the European Union has voted to state there is an emergency, while the United Kingdom has voted to state there's an emergency, here in Victoria, Australia, after 19 days of hunger striking, Australia is being very slowly dragged into the 21st century. There's a high percentage of Australians who still don't even realize that there is an emergency. Well, they don't even realize that there's a climate change problem. They believe it's all a hoax. So that's the point I'm pushing here for is to get 12 parliamentarians to come out openly and say they think it's an emergency. Now, why are they fighting that one word so heavily? Because, go back to the illustration of the bucket line. Once they say emergency, then the politics stops and we start getting to work. I'm just sick of hearing them on both sides. I mean, even ones who appear to be supportive won't use the word emergency because they want to tell me about how much they've done. And they don't want to look at how much still needs to be done. The house is still burning. You know, and it will still be burning for a long time, even when we start working against it. But there's a big job and we need to get started sometime. And I think that time is now.